We'll see if Sun Tzu answers, and if not, then it'll be Mike.
Okay, that sounds good. Okay. We're gonna bust it live. Let me make sure I give the things to person. That's not her. That's her.
Chris, can you hear me?
Yeah, you are heard.
Okay, because I'm trying to get on my hands
We'll see
free
if
here,
Sun
and it's
Tzu
not
answers, and if
working.
not, then it'll be Mike.
Oh, hold on, guys.
Okay, that sounds good.
I'm getting feedback. We're gonna bust it live. Let me make sure. Boom. There it is. Thank you. All right. There we
It's
go.
working.
Yeah, no, it's working. I just have feedback. That's all. That's there. Okay. Oh yeah. Let me get the
Jeez.
this.
Did you hear the order, Sun Tzu?
No, I didn't.
So Anderson, Chris, me, you, and then Mike.
Chris.
Me,
Okay, gotcha.
you, Mike.
I don't know why my hands free is not working here.
I've been having technical difficulties all day, so don't even trip. This is par for today, everyone. Okay. This is for par. Okay, this is par on the day. Okay, we need that season finale. Boom. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, we're busting.
Welcome to We Could Be Wrong, but Who Cares? I'm Anderson.
Christopher Harris.
Sean.
Sun Tzu.
And Mike.
All right, so you want me to start it off, Chris?
Absolutely.
All right, guys. So today I've got a couple, I think, good topics that I'm going to moderate again, so I won't put much of my opinion in. I'm going to stay relatively quiet and ask you guys questions. The first one I want to talk about today is the $1.9 trillion relief package that basically was pushed through with non-bipartisan support in the Senate. So I guess my first question before, because I've got a full breakdown of the whole package, and I obviously have my opinion, but the first thing I'd like to ask each of you is your initial response is, what do you think about the package? Let's start with Chris.
So the package was supported by 75% of Americans. The reason why it was pushed through and we didn't have bipartisan is pretty much, I think, we're playing into the same, well, not we are, because we're not a part of this, but Congress and the Senate is playing the same game that they like to play. But what they don't understand is that there's so many people that are just turned off by this, that they're going to be looking for something else. And it's not going to be a Democrat, and it's not going to be, a Republican. It's going to be someone else that's going to have fire in their belly. And it's just going to spin our whole political system in a wild roller coaster ride, and it's stupid. And this is why people like Mike and others are thirsty for a third party.
Mm-hmm.
This is becoming ridiculous.
So does that mean you like it or you don't like it?
I like it. It's fine.
Okay.
I know there was a lot of things in there that doesn't belong, but at this point, I don't even care.
Well, that's what we'll talk about today. Anderson, you have much of an opinion on the bill right now?
No, the only actually opinion I have, I think is a good bill. Americans need it. And, it helps aid with the unemployment. It helps with the vaccine distribution funds. I mean, I think it's a good idea and we need it. And it just sucks that we couldn't all come together, or at least the House or the Senate, to approve the bill, because I know there were some objections to it.
Yep. Mike, how about you?
Yeah, it seems like what I've been hearing lately is, in a time of recession, which has been caused by the COVID, the quickest way to get out of these recessions, they're starting to realize, is stimulate the economy and to put money into it. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to get things rolling again, and hopefully it will prove to be the right measure. But so far, what I know about it, what I have opinionated about, I think it's a good thing.
All right, hey, Sun Tzu, what do you think?
An Atlantic
Um, well, from what I hear, a very small portion of this quote unquote stimulus package is really going towards Americans and to relieve us of, this whole pandemic and the, what's happened because of that with businesses and things like that. So, and loss of employment. So I am not in favor of it. I think there's a lot of special interests involved in this and it doesn't benefit us at all. And I'm super disappointed, actually. I feel kind of sickened by it because from what I'm hearing, the numbers that I'm hearing is that we're going to receive, and I'm not included in this, I haven't received a dime thus far, but $1,400 will go to Americans after putting in 5,000 is what the numbers is that I'm hearing. So it doesn't really make much sense to me. And as far as hearing as well that our taxes will go up as well. So it kind of to me contradicts the whole purpose of the stimulus package is how I feel.
Okay. So the good thing is I've got a good breakdown.
Hold on, I'm sorry, Sean. Please
Go ahead.
don't forget we have Karen on.
Oh, Karen's here. Okay. Karen, did you end up hearing the question?
Hi guys, hi everyone. No, I actually didn't get it. I
So-
jumped in too late.
That's all right. So the question, my initial question, we're talking about the $1.9 trillion stimulus package that, how I stated it, was pushed through non-bipartisan through the Senate. My initial question is, what do you initially think about the bill, about this COVID relief $1.9 trillion bill?
Well, I did watch the C-SPAN cover when they voted for it, when they debated when it was at the House and then they went to the Senate for voting and then back at the House for debate. And they argued back and forth about amendments and where the money is going and supposedly who is being helped and who is not being helped. And my feeling from what I've watched, I mean, obviously I didn't listen to the whole 682 pages of it being read that Friday night. I fell asleep and it was pretty boring. But from what I heard during the time that I did watch it, a lot of it is designed to benefit the middle class and the poor. I believe because they've increased, there's a lot of bills or I don't know what you guys refer to it. Forgive me. I'm jumping on and I'm not really prepared, but
It's okay.
the child tax credit that's supposed to be helping out the really poor, impoverished populace. And then the $1,400 stimulus that now even 17-year-olds and the 24-year-old students who are still considered dependents, but you don't get any refund or you don't get any money back for claiming them because they've aged out, right? Because I think you only get a refund if you're eligible or if you've overpaid for 16 and below. But now they're included, even disabled dependents or elderly dependents are covered. And there was one talk though, where they brought up, what's her name? Nancy Pelosi's train, I don't know, bill that she included. And it was some crazy amount. It was like a significant amount. But they were debating over, but I don't know. I mean, I honestly only heard bits and pieces of it. And what I took from it are the parts that will help out, that are designed to help out the poor people, which, and also to stimulate the economy, I guess, right? And a lot of people have gotten their stimulus package or payments.
Well, let's break it down a little bit. I've got all the breakdown here. I did a lot of research on this. So a total of 923 billion are going to the Ways and Means section of this bill, which basically about 422 billion is going to the 1,400 stimulus checks. There's a bunch going through extending unemployment. That's another 246 billion. The child tax credit, which I agree with. There's another 58 billion going to grants for multi-employer pension plans, which I don't get. There is a big subsidy going to COBRA plans. There's 14 billion going to extended sick leave. So, I mean, I think in my personal opinion, I'd like to get your guys' opinion. I think the ways and means section of it, which makes up not quite half, I personally feel is good because it does do the stimulus, the unemployment, the child tax credits, COBRA, things that are going to help the people. So just a quick opinion. What is your guys' feelings on that section? If you have one, whoever wants to say.
Well, I'll start. Sunsil, are you still on?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm still on.
I just had a question. I was confused. You said something along the lines of, we already put 5,000 toward that, and then we're putting more. I was just confused by that. Can you explain what you meant there?
Yeah, from what I gather is that we as American citizens will be putting in about $5,000 of our taxpayer dollars and things like that to go towards the stimulus package, where in return we're receiving 1,400 from it. And so it doesn't, as far as mathematically, it doesn't make sense if we are trying to benefit from this, that, you know, if you do the math, we're in the negative. And for myself, like I said, I haven't received anything. My son, who fits in that 20 plus age group, he's 23. He still is waiting for a stimulus check, hasn't received anything. So I don't know where everyone else's status is as far as having, they should be receiving a check and they haven't. But if that's the case, and if that's common, then that's an issue too. But that's what I meant by that.
Okay, so in other words, you've heard that every American, or I assume middle class or most Americans, are going to be, their taxes are going to go up $5,000, which is going to be paying for some of the stimulus. Is that what you're saying? Because I haven't heard. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, is that a specific tax, or is that just in general the notion? Biden did say he was going to raise income tax on various levels of society. Is that what you're talking about, or was this something different?
It sounded like it was just a general number that we could expect as Americans to be contributing to this whole stimulus package.
That the average
because obviously this money comes from somewhere, right? So it comes from us as Americans. Like
Right.
there's this money doesn't come from another country. It comes from us specifically. So we have to put in, right, to fund this stimulus package to be able to get something out of it. So the point is that we are essentially putting in about $5,000 to only get $1,400 from this quote unquote stimulus package.
Hey, on the prior stimulus package, which was even larger, did you notice your taxes going up for that?
Did I notice?
I think she's saying that it's coming out of our taxes anyway, Mike, no matter what. It's that they have to get the money from someplace, and it's not coming from the government. I mean, it's coming from our taxes. Was the last one bigger than 1.9 trillion?
Well, yeah.
I don't believe it was more than 1.9. I don't
I'll
think
look it up
so.
and find out
but,
now.
but you guys might be able to get that information.
I thought the first was the biggest one. But I
No.
maybe.
But
This is
anyway,
supposed
so I think her point is the money's coming from someplace, and it's coming
from
from
us.
us taxpayers. And
It
by
is.
the average of what they're spending, that's what they're estimating is going to be the cost to the U.S. citizen.
Correct.
If they spread it out amongst everybody, what the average cost would be per citizen of this stimulus package.
That's
my-
correct.
Did I take? Okay,
Yes.
I just want to make sure I emulated you correctly.
If the bill were totally paid off, each American would be paying $5,000.
Correct. Correct.
That's correct.
Got it.
So again, what's your guys' opinion on this ways and means one, which is to me the biggest portion of it, that does the checks, that does the extended unemployment, that does the child tax credits, sick leave, COBRA. There's $9 billion that's not even allocated yet, but that's on that ways and means section. Do you guys feel that that's a good section in general? Mike, do you think it is?
Yeah, I do. It seems like
Good.
specifics. I think the child care credit portion is going to be very significant to a lot of people, especially women, especially single women, especially single women head of households. That's what I mean. What I mean, rather than single women, but women head of households who are not married,
Right.
and trying to get back into the workforce. I think the coronavirus has affected women more so than men in terms of overall unemployment. And I think they're saying this is like, one of the lowest in like 30 or 40 years, one of the lowest levels of women in the workforce than we've had in quite some time, because they've had to stay home, take care of kids, laid off, and all those kind of things.
Mhm.
So child care credit is intended to get the economy going, to get jobs going again.
Right.
That's what it's for.
No, I understand. I guess so. To move on, I don't want to. Does anyone feel that this section is a bad section? What I basically described. I mean, I think most of us will agree that's a good part of the bill. That's what it was intended for, is COVID relief. Does anyone disagree
Wait.
with that?
We're talking specifically about which
The Ways and
category?
Means section, right? The Ways and Means section, which was 923 billion, which was the checks, the unemployment extension, the extended child care credits, extended sick
I don't agree
leave,
with
and
it.
COBRA. Which one do you think is bad?
Well, several things, because the unemployment portion. I mean, we talked several episodes ago about how people were purposefully not going back to work. What numbers that entails, I don't know. I don't have those figures, but if
They're
it
doing
is a big number-
$400 a week now instead of 600. So they're cutting it down to 400. So it'll be $200 less supplemental.
That's fine. But my point is if there are people who are purposely not going back to work, or were doing that previously, and if we're funding that, I'm not okay with that. Like, I just think, I know people, I don't know if you guys do, I know people who are not working, know how to work the system, know how to put in that they're quote unquote looking for a job, and they're really not, just to be able to collect their unemployment. It's just knowing those things. And if it is something that is common, I'm not okay with that. And
Well-
then the child tax credit,
I do agree with you. I think if people are working the system, I think we all agree that that would be a bad thing. Hopefully people won't be doing that, but you're right. Sansu, people are always going to abuse the system, which I totally agree with you is wrong. But
And
I
I
think
wonder what the percentage is of
right.
those
I
people
honestly, I
as
don't know,
well.
but I hope it's not big. Chris, you
Yeah.
want to add something?
Well, I was out to dinner with he's a mortgage broker. I was out to dinner last weekend with him, and we were eating at an outside restaurant here in my community where I live. People are coming out, since here in the state of California, the restrictions are getting lifted a little bit more. Plus, I live in a tourist city. I live in a city where the majority of their income is tourist. Point is, we're talking about just about this. And he was telling me how one of his friends, who is, um, upper middle class, found a loophole, and what he's doing is he's just milking it. He's milking it. He's milking it. He's milking. We're talking about, and in the process of talking about that, I too know of people who milked the system prior to stimulus. They just milked the system for unemployment, welfare, whatever, But one of the things that popped in my head consistently is that those people are at the end hurting themselves. Stimuluses will not go on forever. Like, just because of what happened, we are right. You can even Google stimulus checks, and you'll see articles about, are we going to get a third stimulus check? The point is, right there is the issue and the problem. People are looking for something more. People always want the path of least resistance. But the reality is, everything has a consequence, because restrictions are lifting across the country, and at different levels, because every state has their own, they have their own state powers. Sovereignty is the word I was looking for. But there is going to be a point where it's just dried up. As anyone knows who's been on unemployment, your unemployment eventually dries up. And people who are taking advantage of the system and that are listening to us, please know your time's going to come. Like, you cannot work the system forever this way. Am I pissed off that there's others working the system? Absolutely. Do I care? At this moment, I don't, because whatever I get, I'll use and need and do it appropriately. But for those that are milking it, there's a consequence.
Well, they will pay for it, Chris, because a lot of people don't understand that unemployment is federally taxed.
Absolutely.
It's not state taxed in California. I don't know about other states, but unemployment is federally taxed. So if you're not taking money out of it, you're paying taxes on every dollar you get from the federal government. All right. So the big one I want to talk about is this next section. It's the next biggest section, and it's oversight and reform. And this is $350 billion. And basically, $195 billion is paid to state governments. No explanation of what is given to state governments. And $155 billion is provided to local governments, territories, and tribes. And then about $500 million is going to be paid for COVID leave for federal workers. Anderson, what do you think about that one?
A good one. We need it.
You think we should be paying state governments $195 billion?
I
Nope.
guess depending on what states they are, because of course that money should be used for our roads, our bridges, and so on and so forth. So it all comes down to who we elect as our officials and if they're doing their job.
But is this a COVID relief, or is this an economic stimulus package?
Stimulus.
Okay, good. That's because this was packaged as a COVID relief. So that's why my personal opinion, I disagree with it. I won't get in the conversation, but I disagree with this section completely. Mike?
Well, yeah, giving money to the states. I mean, assuming that it's costing more money to get schools reopened again, it's costing more money to get jobs reopened again.
No, that's the next section. Don't worry. Education is a
on.
big section.
Real quick,
Well,
I'm sorry, Mike, for interrupting you, but I kind of feel like we're dancing around. Are we trying to ask, is this to save the blue states? Is that the point you're trying to get to here? I mean,
No, well, I think the money goes to all the places. I just think that there's certain things. I think that this was pushed, my personal opinion, this package was pushed through. You're right, Chris, 70% of Americans agreed with it. 70% of the Americans have no idea what's in this package. All they know is they're going to get a stimulus check, so they agree with it. I think if the Americans read this package as I have and looked at it, they'd be going, whoa, I understand why it was nonpartisan, why it was not bipartisan at all, because there's so many things in here that have nothing to do with COVID, nothing.
Right.
And it was packaged as a COVID relief package,
Exactly.
so
so my opinion.
is it possible that what's happening is since the House is run by Democrats right now, that they're trying to get the financing that they tried to get during the last administration that they couldn't get? Or
Sure, that's possible.
funded?
I mean, there's a lot of money going to things that are not COVID.
So then what is the problem with asking to declare where the money is going for each state? Because there are, like you said, they're going to all 50 states, right? So pretty much
It doesn't outline it. It just says 195 billion paid to money to state governments.
so then why don't people ask their states, how are you using this money?
Understand, but again, does that make this a COVID package or a stimulus package?
well,
The
okay,
stimulus package, for
Yeah,
sure.
John, are you part of the discussion, or are you the moderator?
Well, that's why I'm asking.
Well, okay.
I'm asking you guys the questions. Is it a stimulus package or is it a COVID package?
Every time somebody else answers, you answer back. Let somebody else answer. Okay, if you don't mind.
No, go ahead.
I've always considered it an economic stimulus bill. Okay, I mean, clearly that was part of the package with it. It was they're going to pump money into the economy to stimulate it, to get jobs, to get the schools going, to get small employments going, to open the economy back up and get things moving. It was not a 1.9 trillion specifically going to be spent on COVID. I never thought of it as that personally, although I do agree there were times when it was called a COVID relief bill. I agree with you on that as well.
So how bad do you think the economy is right now, Mike, in general?
Well, I don't know. What's our unemployment rate? It's still pretty high, isn't it? I don't know.
It's coming way down.
Well, not way down. It's
Yeah,
coming down.
I'll find it right now when you guys are discussing this.
Got to find out how many people are on unemployment. That how many jobs have not, and I mean, restaurants aren't open yet. Here, they're open outdoors, but a lot of restaurants
6.2%.
are open, a lot of stores. What's the unemployment rate?
6.2.
That's pretty low.
That is low.
And how's the stock exchange doing?
It always does well when the government pumps money into the economy. It always does well.
It's been going up for a while, which
It was
So-
being fine. Yeah, exactly. It was fine before that.
Yeah.
so it's actually the unemployment rate. I'm looking right now. What did you say it was, Chris?
That's too low.
6.2.
6 point something.
Yeah, the highest it was I'm seeing is 2009, which was 10% unemployment.
So this is exactly what I have. In February 2021, the national unemployment rate was at 6.2%.
How many people are unemployed? Do you have a number on that? I'm just curious.
That rate has come down. If you want to look, Chris, or I'll look and see.
I'm looking now.
Okay. I guess my comment by that, Mike, was I think the economy is doing relatively well. And I think that's why it didn't get bipartisanship, is because they didn't see this as needed. It was a lot of money going into our deficit.
I'm sorry, Sean. The official number of unemployed Americans is 10.1 million, according to the Labor Department. The statistic comes from the monthly job reports, and the Labor Department puts out the first Friday of each month, which shows the official unemployment rate. At this moment, it is 6.3 as of February 19th, 2021.
And it was down probably close to 3% before COVID, or even lower than 3, I believe. It was pretty low.
I think it was around 4.5% or something like that, but Chris can look and see. So anyway, so there's that money, 350 billion going to state and federal governments, 290 billion going to education, which I'm not sure what you guys think, but it's education hasn't spent any money. They've been doing the distance learning.
Exactly.
Yep. The big part that gets me is they're talking about like 90 billion for transportation and infrastructure, 71 billion for financial services, 50 billion for small businesses. There's 10 billion going to foreign affairs.
Hey, Sean.
Yeah.
For education, does it at least outline what that money is going to be used for? Because I mean, you're seeing exactly what I'm seeing is like what money has been spent, like where's the deficit, where are they needing money? So does it say?
That's a good question. Yes. 290 billion for education and labor. 129 billion are provided funding for K through 12 education. In addition to what their normal budgets are. 40 billion provided for college and universities. 54 billion to increase the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour by 2025. Another 40 billion to provide support for childcare, grants to childcare providers, and Head Start. Another 10 billion for COBRA. 11 billion for human services, labor programs, and other policies.
But again, so that didn't really clarify for me.
No,
then
it doesn't.
Oh, okay. So
it doesn't break it down. They don't get into details in the plan so far. They're just saying this is what the money will be allocated for. That's, like I said, that's why they're saying 10 billion is going to foreign affairs.
I'm sorry, Sean. Sorry, Sensei. Sorry, all I want to do is just give you guys the unemployment rate. So January 2020, through the President Trump's administration, unemployment rate was at 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh.
Yep.
So as COVID peaked of April of 2020, it was at 14.8. That's it. Sorry, Sensei, please continue.
And where are we back to now?
Where is it now?
6.7. Sorry, 6.3, 6.3.
Yes.
Wow. Well, those are really great and promising numbers, I would have to say. But no, I guess my point is I don't know if you guys, I think some of you have some kids in college and universities, as do I. I don't understand why they need more funding. Like you said, again, they've been doing distance learning. As far as I know, their teachers are being paid. I just don't understand why this extra funding is needed when teachers have been doing things from home. They're not paying for gas. They're not paying for lunches. As they would if they were at school. I know Mike was a teacher. Like there are added expenses that you incur when you go to work.
But not the district expenses, not education. You those are your expenses, not educational expenses.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is, in addition to whatever expenses, like teachers incur, their own expenses just from going to work, which they aren't spending right now either. So I don't understand where this extra funding, why it's needed and why it's going to education. What's it paying for? Are they going to put plexiglass in the classrooms now? Like what are they doing with? I just don't understand. So clearly, it's not outlined by from what Sean's saying, and so that should be an issue in and of itself, because again, we all know that the government does not do a good job with managing money, and for them to just put generalize where our funds, our money is going without giving us specific details, to me is wrong. It's like stealing from us, I feel like.
Does everyone feel stolen from here?
Not yes and no. Yes, I kind of agree with Sunsu because there's no details of where this money is going. And as a citizen of the United States, we want to know where our money is going. It's great that it's going to teachers, but we want to know why and where it's going, what budget. I think that's my big deal, just like Sunsu's and everybody else.
That's fair, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair expectation from all of us. I mean, if Chris said, hey guys, I need you guys to all contribute $100 every show for the benefit of our show, it's going to be for this, that. I mean, are we not going to wonder where it's going and how he's using it and why we're spending that kind of money? I mean, that's
Next thing you know, Chris is driving in the Audi.
Hey, he's gonna have bling on.
Yeah, Chris is doing that. He has a freaking $20,000 refrigerator with the most expensive ice cream on the planet.
With a TV.
Excuse
Go
me.
Go ahead, Chris. Chris,
What
go ahead.
I really need is each of you to bring on more friends to the show, and each of you please contribute $100. If all you guys bring more friends and contribute $100, that would be extremely great for me.
Chris needs his gold braces. Hey, Karen. Karen's been quiet. Let's hear what Karen has to say for a second.
Sorry, I'm just listening to you guys. I'm
That's
doing
all right.
something right now. But I did just want to add a little bit to you guys' question about the state funding or local government, state government. I'm a public servant, and I have paid attention a little bit to our budget deficits with the county that I work for. And we actually did face layoff threats. I'm fortunate that I wasn't one of the people who got let go, but with my specific agency or department being flat funded, meaning we don't get any increase, we haven't gotten any funding for the past maybe 11 to 15 years. And if you think about the social network or safety net that people are now running to for help, such as food stamps, Medi-Cal, and CalWORKs, that's where the state, once they get that money, it's their responsibility to allocate what money is going to go to what branch or what services they're going to fund. Because up to this point, up until they passed that bill, the American Relief Bill, our county was not going to receive any funding, additional funding, and we may still face layoffs starting next fiscal year, which starts in July. So I don't think that it is a stimulus. I don't think it's a gift to local government and the state government. I believe that it is still COVID related because we have had to adjust and adapt to the changes that we had to adapt to because of COVID. as far as staffing goes, and rearranging how we service the public, how we provide our service to the public because of the limited, interaction, face-to-face interaction.
I
But
really feel what Karen is saying is a mic drop. I mean, I really feel it was like a kaboom, because she says, look, I work for the county in some capacity, and we haven't had anything for 15 years. Is that right, Karen? Is that what you said?
yes, that's what I said.
Okay. So she's like, yeah, so if our state gets extra money that they could give to me and my fellow county workers, hell yeah, I want that. Because, us two needing to work through this COVID situation, we needed to adjust. And
I don't think that's a mic drop at all.
Oh,
I
shoot,
totally
go for it.
disagree with you.
Well, please tell me why.
Well, if I heard correctly, she says we haven't had a pay increase. That's kind of, to me, a boohoo moment. I'm sorry you didn't have a pay increase, because there's a lot of people that don't
I'm
have
sorry.
a job.
That's not what I said, Sensu. I have had
Okay.
pay increases. I promoted 3 times in the past 5 years, and that's because I earned it. But my point is, each agency receives funding from the state or federal. My department in particular is funded by feds. So I was saying we have not been funded for the past 10 or 15 years, but I have gotten raises.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. And when you say we haven't been funded, what does that mean? So if you guys are paid through the county, which comes from the state, how are then you guys receiving funding to pay you today?
Karen, did you get that question?
Hold on. Now I'm in the middle of something right now. Sorry, guys.
Uh-huh.
So,
Well, that's why I said we've had to work with our budget deficit as well as a local government entity, which included people being laid off, people leaving the county, being asked to voluntarily separate from the county, and people retiring, so that we can cover our shortfall. My particular department is still facing a deficit over $5 million for the next fiscal year. So that's why I said I was safe this time around. Next fiscal year, I don't know if I'm going to be safe without some type of assistance from the state or the feds given to local and state, local governments, basically.
I think that my point is this is, anyone in your position, especially at the county level, deserves to be paid appropriately, and the funding should be there because you guys do your job requirements are, it's a heavy workload. It's depending on like what agency you're part of. My problem is to say that I am for the state funding because my agency or my county or whatever hasn't received funding. That doesn't mean you're going to get anything from it. And that's my problem is we don't know how it's going to be allocated. And as far as I know, California has misappropriated COVID relief thus far, and they've misspent, and we are in need again of more money, and we don't know why, because there are other states that still have some of that funding in the bank, on reserve, because they didn't misappropriate and misspend. So my problem is we can't sit here and feel, we're going to get, our state deserves blah, 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 because at the end of the day, we don't know how they're going to allocate those funds. So we may not even see it, whether it's you, Karen, or someone else in a different county or agency that also feels like they're in the same position. We don't know if it'll benefit anyone or where it's going to go. And so that's my issue is back to, we are not given any specifics. So I'm not about to sit here and throw a party and be grateful that we're going to get some funding for California, because I don't even know if I'm going to see any of it.
all right, so
And
So,
it's probably not going to be directed at you, Sun-Soo, specifically, because your income is fairly high, I would assume. So it's going to probably be, I would kind of hope, if it's going to go somewhere in the state, I hope it's appropriately spent to open up jobs, open up the economy, and all of those kind of things. And I guess that's where we have to leave it up to our elected officials to make those decisions.
Well,
Right.
and Mike, I would agree with you, but if you look at history, like I don't have hope, right? Because again, I don't. If they've been misspending the funds thus far, what hope do we have that they'll, allocate those funds accordingly? I don't have any hope that they will, but that's just my point.
No, totally agree. So, but I don't want to hang on this subject too long. I want to give Chris a chance. He's got his hand up, and then I want to hear what Anderson has to say for a second.
Sun Tzu, real quick, I don't know how fast you can answer this question, but how would you have put the stimulus out? I know former President Trump wanted to have $2,000 for the people. He couldn't, it didn't happen for whatever reason. And then this 1,400 per person is just the continuous from the 600 to make that 2,000. How would you have done it? What do you think they should have done?
Well, that's a tough question, but I mean, for me, at the end
I
of
don't
the
expect you to
day,
be perfect. Yeah.
I know. At the end of the day, I think that the government, whether it's the state or the federal level, they're not the oversight of how things are done and whether people meet certain criteria. I think it's flawed, and so I don't think that whether it's 2,000 or 1,400. I just think the whole process in which they determine those things and who gets it and all those, I think it's just completely flawed. And so I just think whatever they throw out there, people are going to take advantage. Other people are just not going to see it, or they're going to feel totally ripped off. And that's just the reality of how our government runs and how they manage money. And I just, it doesn't excite me at all. So I just feel like it's going to come out of the money I work very hard for. And it's going to go to people who are possibly taking advantage of the system, regardless of the dollar amount. And I that doesn't excite me at all.
Anderson?
Okay.
Oh, sorry, Mike.
No. Go ahead. Anderson was up. You're right. Sorry.
Anderson, what's your, give me a final comment on this.
I think going back to what I said earlier, I think the big issue for everyone is where is this money is going? We need details. And that's the problem that a lot of people are having. And I'm not getting a check, so yeah, I'm actually kind of pissed off because I couldn't use it.
Have you guys ever made like a bonus or been on commission?
Yeah.
Have any of you guys?
Yeah.
I'm sure you have. Okay, and now have you guys noticed? Like literally, I was a commission only employee for some time, and almost half my checks would go to the government.
Yep.
Half. Okay. How disgusting is that when you're a single mom with 4 kids and you're working over 40, 50 hours a week and over half of your freaking money goes to the government, whether state and federal level? Like that's a really sickening feeling.
Don't buy it.
Wow.
I don't buy it. I don't think you're in a 50% tax bracket. I'm sorry. I just don't see it.
I think she's talking about the bonus checks.
No. I'm talking about bonuses are over 40%.
Overtime too, as well, Sensu. Because I get paid overtime as well. No,
Overtime and
you
bonuses.
you gotta add overtime as well. Because when I work, they take more from my overtime than my regular check, and it sucks.
Okay, but that's not. It doesn't increase your taxes. It's just withholding, correct?
Right.
Withholding.
What they withhold.
Wait, Mike cut out for me. What did he say?
He's
No, I
asking you. Go ahead, Mike.
It's withholding, right? They're withholding more money from your bonus checks and from your overtime, but it's not necessarily a higher tax. It just means it's being withheld. I just want to get clarity. I think that's the way it goes. Is you're not being taxed at 50%. You're being 50% of your income is being withheld. If you're
And we don't see it.
Well, it's
Do
going
you get it back at your tax return though?
yeah.
I don't.
Oh.
Well,
Probably because I owe a lot of money.
You don't pay quarterlies.
okay, yeah.
The only reason I've seen tax returns is because of my kids, because of the amount of kids that I have. But if I hadn't, if I were a single guy or a single woman making, commission only or working a lot of overtime, almost, and I didn't say 50%, Mike, I said almost half of it, because it feels like half of it's being taken.
Sure, I understand that. It sure feels like it. I'm sure. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well,
okay. just one other thing about the bill, and we're talking about the confusion and so on and so forth. I thought I was right. The bill, the first stimulus, the CARES Act, was $2.1 trillion. Okay, it came out March 25th, 2020. Trump ushered it in. It was 883 pages long. Okay, same thing we're dealing with right now. Okay, who understood? That's what they do. They throw these bills out there, and it's kind of like that's just the way schools used to operate. You climb to the highest peak, you strap on this new invention, and then you jump off the cliff, and you hope you're going to be able to figure out what it is before you hit the ground.
Right.
That's government. Okay. So
the whole concept behind this talk, why I wanted to bring this up, was just to get people aware of it, because I think a lot of us, including me, until I did research, didn't know what it entailed. And I think that it's important to talk about this stuff so people know. And I think that's why, like Chris said, 70% of the American people supported it, but it was nonpartisan at all in the Senate. So I think it's just knowing about this gives us more information. And that's why I wanted to talk about this subject.
Constituents wanted it though, right?
True.
Okay.
But they didn't know, they didn't read the bill.
Well, dude, if your people want it, that's your job, is to do what your people want, right?
Yeah, but uninformed people who don't even know what's like the details, that's
I'm
kind
not
of
fighting against you with the sensu, but the truth is a lot of people are willingly uninformed.
right.
You're you want to know things, but I'll say like, and Mike's gonna bash me over the head on this, but I'll say like 90% of the people, they don't want to know shit. They just want what they could get. Just being honest.
And isn't it no, okay, and I'm with you on that, but isn't it a good leader's job to not just do what the people want? Like,
it's a good
right? They do
job, but who gets elected? Those who play the game and those who, hustle. Now, I don't mean hustle by working hard. I mean hustle by like doing criminal stuff. Just saying.
Well, I think everyone's got time to do a little bit more research into this, and I think more people will follow this now that we brought it up. I want to kind of move on to our next subject because we're already an hour into the show.
Okay.
Other subject I wanted to talk about was the shooting in Georgia. Robert Aaron Long, 21, who killed 8 people. And also the comment made by Captain Jay Baker on the subject that had such backlash. I think there's several different topics to discuss here. So should we first, and I let you guys decide, should we talk about, is this racially motivated first, or should we talk about what the captain said first?
Sean, will you give details first? Because I honestly don't know the details on that. I do know the details on the shooting in Tennessee between that black woman and the cop, but I haven't really focused on what happened in Georgia.
So what happened, a young guy, Robert Aaron Long, 21, went to 3 different massage parlors, which he claimed he was a sex addict and he had been there. And it caused him to have urges and he didn't want to have those anymore. So he went to 3 different massage parlors and killed 8 people. The claim they're making is that it was racially motivated because 6 of them were Chinese or Asian, Asian females. One of them was a male, and I don't know if he was Asian or not. They didn't give good details on that.
White,
and the other one was a white female.
Yeah.
So the claim they're making is that it was Asian, or that was racially a hate crime because of that. And then there was also a comment made, which we're going to play the clip in a little bit, Sun Tzu, by Captain Jay Baker when he was giving details about it, that had the whole internet in uproar by his comments. And I think that's the one I'd like to end with, because I think that's going to be very controversial, because I've listened to it now 30 times to try to get the gist of it. So let's talk about the hate crime first. Do you guys feel it was a hate crime, Chris?
Actually, can we start with Karen?
Okay, sure. Karen, what do you think?
Well, I don't know if you guys follow my podcast, but we did actually start.
Big fan.
We actually covered the Asian attacks on the elderly back in January, I believe, or February, early February, when we our first episode, the second season. But going back to your topic or your question, if even if it's not racially motivated, it's still hate because he targeted only women, right? I think you mentioned that one of the deceased is a male. I
Yep.
think they're all women. The
Clint, I'm sorry. It is racially motivated, and I'll tell you why when it's my turn to speak.
Well, one of them was a man. There was
Thanks for the
7
tease,
females
Chris.
and 1 male.
okay, I thought they were all females, and the male survived because
No, 8 dead, 7 females, 1 male.
okay. My disgust, and I posted about this topic when I learned about it, is how the captain who spoke about the crime and the suspect, how he was having a bad day. And that to me is how we as people normalize the attacks that are happening to, it doesn't matter what race the person is, it's normalizing the behavior, the inappropriate and the horrific behavior of people who attack people of different colors based on, I don't know, because they don't like them just because they're Black or they're Asian, or they blame them for their unemployment. And I don't know why this person targeted those 3 massage parlors, which is predominantly, the employees are predominantly Asians. And my initial thought was, what made me angry was them covering up, making him more human, making him appear to be more human by saying that, oh, he just had a bad day and this is what resulted, in his bad day. Well, you don't excuse it. You bring awareness. Why do we get into this habit of making excuses for people who kill based on their own self-loathing, maybe, or their hatred of somebody or something that they don't know about, and especially my people? And it's not just now that this is happening, it's just being brought to the forefront because of how frequent it's happening and how violent they're becoming. And everybody keeps saying that, oh, this started when, Trump called it the China flu or Kung flu or whatever the fuck he called it. I'm sorry for cussing, whatever he called it, right? It's been happening for years, since forever, since the first Filipinos came to America and worked the farms. You know what I'm saying? So I'm angry about this. I don't think it's okay that we should normalize it. I don't think that people should be making excuses. And I want people to recognize Asians have rights too, even though we don't speak up a lot of the times. We get offended, we feel disrespected. And I can speak from my own experiences. I wasn't born here. And do you know how many times I've been told to go back to the country that I came from? I've been here since I was young. This is my country. Okay. And I don't appreciate people subjecting me to that kind of treatment, especially the elderly, the weak, the women, the weak. Those are the people that they are targeting. Because why? Because they're seen as submissive and they're not going to fight back. I mean, there has to be a medium. You know what I'm saying? If you don't understand my culture and you want to know what it's really like to be Asian American or Asian or an immigrant, or about my culture that you don't understand, let's start the discussion. Let's bridge the gap, and I don't know.
I personally totally agree with you, Karen. I think it happens to a lot of minorities, and it's sad. And as an old white guy, I apologize because I'm not that way. But I think a lot of it comes from old white people, that they feel superior. And you're right; it's not right. It's totally not right at all. And as the moderator, I'm just going to state that right off. Anderson, do you think it was a hate crime?
Yes, of course.
Can you explain why you think it was a hate crime?
Because he was going around Asian massage parlors and killing Asians.
Okay.
Yeah,
Mike?
he didn't go to Jerome's massage or Envy massage. He went to Asian spa places. Why did he go to Asian spa places? Because he thought he was going to get a happy ending. Come on. If he went to Jerome's and shot it up or whatnot, he sexualized Asian women and was all mad because he was an incel and decided to go blam, blam, blam.
Well, background, I'm not sure if, like I said, if you guys have read much into this case yet. He passed multiple Asian establishments without going in there and shooting. These 3 places he picked were places he'd been before, that he had frequented it. So I'm trust me, I'm not justifying anything. I'm not saying it's not a hate crime or anything. I'm just trying to give out information.
That don't mean nothing, because I'm sorry.
Yes, it does.
No, it
Yes, it
doesn't, because obviously if he's been there before, most likely he probably got a happy ending there.
He said he's a
Well,
sex
that's
addict.
my point. That's my point. Did they establish whether or not they provide those types of services? And if so, that gives some, I have to be careful with my words because I don't condone this at all. So just let me say that. But it does show some, motive as to why he would do that. Because first of all, 2 people did die that were white. And so when you see that, you can't say it's racially motivated. And Karen, I'm also
at the wrong place at the wrong time. Right?
Let's Sansu finish.
Well, listen, because I'm also part Asian. I'm also Hispanic. So take your pick when you want to say something about, Hispanics in California or Asians. I fit both profiles. I have been told to go back to my country once, actually, and I was actually shocked because I went, 30 plus years without anyone ever saying that to me. And to my surprise, I had one interaction with a white lady who said that to me. I'm not the type of woman that people would think that would just roll over and take it. So I was actually shocked by that. But my point is this, I don't think it had anything to do with them being female. I don't think it had anything to do with them being Asian. I believe that when something like this happens, that we as Americans need to stop presuming to know what the motivations are. I think we need to allow for due process. I think we need to allow for discovery, for things to come to the surface and really find out facts. Because I think that one thing that we've done far too much in this country is we assume and we roll with it. And then that's the story that's being perpetuated. And then what happens from there? Then it's hard to retract when we find out the actual truth if it contradicts what story is being perpetuated by the media. I don't know why we jump constantly as a country to racism. Not everything is racially motivated. I can come across someone who is of another, color of skin and not like them and have an interaction with them and think they're a total a-hole without it being racially motivated, and vice versa. So, if they do find out that these are salons that did provide happy endings, then that kind of shows you that this man did have an issue. It did not justify his behavior. Clearly, he needs to go seek help or do something else. Killing people is not the problem, but it does show his motivation as to why he went there. And the fact that 2 white people were killed, amongst these other Asian women, that tells you it was not racially motivated. So I'm offended by the fact that people want to jump to that conclusion, because all that does is divide our country. And we continue to divide our country by assuming these things, because then we think, oh my gosh, this person hates, all white people hate Asians, all white people hate Hispanics. And I don't think that that's fair to the Caucasian community either, because they're not all hateful. So, to paint them in that light, all of them, to generalize them that way is not fair. It's no more fair.
Well, no one is.
It's no more fair than generalizing Black people as being criminals or generalizing Mexicans as being,
But they do that, Sansu.
They do.
And we shouldn't, is her point.
Whoa.
My point is nobody should do that. Not one side should ever generalize any type of person from whatever country or from whatever skin color. But that's
Well, you kind
what
of
the
admitted
media
that you've
has-
never been discriminated, Sansu.
No. I've never been told to go back to my country. That doesn't mean I've never been discriminated against.
Yeah,
There are
okay.
different ways of being discriminated against. I've never been told to go back to my country. That was a little like out there. And if people have experienced that, often, then my heart goes out to them, because that is completely unnecessary. And I think it's disgusting. Like, I literally was like disgusted by this one, but my reaction is to kind of laugh at her and like, wow, you're really pathetic that you feel like you need to tell me that. You're really, really ignorant. Like, that's my perspective. I didn't take offense to it. I just thought this is an ignorant woman that needs to freaking open up her eyes.
Racist woman,
Right.
right?
Well, let's hold on. I want to hear what Mike has to say on this.
Yeah,
Um,
right, man.
Do you think it was racially motivated, Mike?
No, only because I don't have enough information yet. And I did hear that the gentleman, not I guess a good gentleman, the guy claimed it was not racially motivated.
Right.
And then there was somebody else that said, well, he doesn't get to choose. Other people get to choose, which I thought was a rather weird reaction as well. Like, well, so we don't know what his motive is. If his motive was to gun down Asian women, it's a crime against women and a crime against Asians. But I don't know that we necessarily know it yet.
Well, we'll hear from the clip coming up. But again, his statement was it was sexually motivated because he's a sex addict.
Whatever, at 21, whatever that is.
Yeah. Well, he'd been to these places before. Go ahead, Chris. You're biting at the bit.
Listen, I am about to explode. Listen. Okay, kid. You have murder. You want murder because you want to give some lame excuse, or you want murder because you're racist? There's a whole thing just on hate crimes that's always harder than the other crime. Which one am I going to choose? Of course I'm going to say I'm not racist. I'm not retarded. You know what I mean? Of course I'm going to say I'm not racist. Who's going to be like, oh yeah, I did it because I'm racist? No.
So, my question is,
massage parlors for
go ahead, Mike.
sex, guys. He did not go to fucking Jerome's rub and tug. He went.
Is there
He
one
shot
there?
2 white people. He shot 2 white people, Chris.
Wrong place, wrong time, Sansu.
Oh,
That
come on.
happened.
Well,
Wrong place,
is
wrong
there?
time. Does that happen?
Come on.
We don't know if there was any other racial rub and tug places there. So it's hard to say that he only went to Asian places.
Listen. There are. I don't know. I've never been to a place like this. By the way, never.
Oh, come on.
Never
Yeah.
even
Oh,
knew they existed.
come on. You can be
But
honest.
there are Russian places. I heard there are
In
Russian
Atlanta.
Well, see, this is Atlanta. Come on, y'all. Dude, how come we didn't go around and start killing fucking? Oh, sorry, excuse me, I didn't mean to cuss. How come we didn't go around shooting prostitutes on the streets? I've been to Atlanta. There's prostitutes on the streets.
Because that's not where he had been, he said, Chris. You guys are missing the point. I'm trying to pass the information. These are places
That's crazy.
frequented.
Well, shit, he could have frequented a fucking 7-Eleven corner.
But he didn't. You can't
For
just
sex?
be
Scared of
facts.
AIDS, most
Deal with
likely.
facts.
All right.
Deal
All right.
with facts.
The
We-
fact is, the racist. He went to Asian massage parlors.
That's not a fact, Chris. You're assuming that.
No,
I like
know
how
that for a
Sansu,
fact. That's
Sansu
what
said
he
it's not racist because he shot 2 white people. That's so retarded.
Anyway, okay. So
Hey, don't name
the
call
panel has mixed opinion on whether it was racially motivated or not. So I totally figured that was going to happen. So what we'd like to do now.
Can I ask a question, Sean, real quick?
Sure, of
Because
course.
Anderson thought that was funny. So if there were, 4 or 5 Asians that were shot and 2 black people, what do you think the media would have ran with on that?
Asians
That he
being
got
murdered
minorities?
because of Asian hate crime.
So it just hands down, it just has to be.
Oh, yeah,
a
you know what?
racial-
Actually, Chris is
It's
right.
not-
Yeah, it's a hate crime
What?
against Asians because they only shot 2 people and 5 Asians.
6.
So what determines it is the amount of people
No,
that were killed.
what
That's what you're saying.
determines it is the fact that hate crimes against Asians has skyrocketed. I think I heard Lucy Liu say it on CNN, like it was 199% or something. I need to double check that. But it has here in the Bay Area in California, it is like consistent. It's consistent. Old Asian women and men just getting beat, stabbed, consistent. it has skyrocketed by blacks, by the way. And if a black stabbed an Asian, it was still an Asian hate crime.
Yeah, it's still a hate crime.
That's why they're like, oh shit, this is Asian. This is, dude, like people are hating Asians. Now, I'm not even going to even connect it to how this could happen through. I'm not even going to even go there because I don't want to go there. Because right now, Asians are being persecuted. They're being hated on, and people are acting stupid. King cars talking about COVID bullshit. That's what's happening.
I think we all agree with that, Chris. Everyone agrees that Asians are being persecuted
Well,
right
then
now.
agree with me that that kid did that as a hate crime, and I'll feel better.
I'm the moderator. I'm not going to agree with or disagree with you.
No, no agreement there at all.
You know what? We're gonna.
I think it remains to be seen.
And we're gonna
Let's
ask if it's racist or not.
Let's move on to the sheriff's statement, because I think this is a lot, and I think it's very. We have to look at it, and I think there's going to be some discussion on this too. I think once we discuss it, people may have mixed feelings on this as well. So, Chris, you have the clip?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I was playing it right now. We talked.
He has an issue, what he considers a sex addiction, and sees these locations as something that allows him to go to these places, and it's a temptation for him that he wanted to eliminate.
The working theory is a sexual addiction issue rather than a racial profile.
During our interviews, we asked that specific question, and that did not appear to be the motive.
But activist and author Helen.
Sorry. So that's about it. But he did say.
Okay, hold on. I've got the exact quote of what he said. So basically, one of the reporters asked him, he said, Sheriff, do you have a sense that he understood what or the gravity of what he did? And the sheriff said, when I spoke with the investigators, they interviewed him this morning, and they got the impression that, yes, he understood the gravity of it. Hold on. And he was pretty much fed up. And at the end of his rope. And yesterday was a really bad day for him. And this is what he did. That was the exact comment.
Do you know who it was a bad day for? The people that are dead.
Oh, no, we agree, Chris. Chris, totally agree. I guess my question is, what do you feel about his comment?
Why didn't he kill himself? He should have just killed himself. If he's fed up, kill yourself.
What do you think about the sheriff's comment?
I have no comment.
Mike, what do you think?
It's hard. Yeah, I don't know the context. It sounds stupid. Obviously, it sounds stupid. It sounds like he's trivializing the whole thing. Well, the guy had a bad day. Well, no shit, the guy had a bad day. I mean, he killed other human beings for no reason. 1 year old. There's got to be other things going on. We're going to find out this guy's a psycho, man. 21 years old, and he's making those kind of determinations, and I want to go in and kill a bunch of people. That's scary stuff.
And so, just to ask,
there's more that has not come out yet. There's still
right.
I'm going to wait on the sideline and wait and see what's going to happen here before I make those determinations.
So I guess my question is too, you heard by the initial clip that Chris played that he states he's a sex addict, and he felt these were places that were encouraging him more because he'd been there, right? I'm not justifying anything. I'm just saying his state of mind.
I don't even buy the sex addict crap. I have a sex addiction. What does that mean? Where's the history? He has to have sex 12 times a day?
I don't know.
Or, he masturbates 19 times a day, or he has to, whatever. What is a sex addict? The woods go through that crap too. Oh, I'm a sex addict.
But that's irrelevant. Even if he were a sex addict, I don't think that we should ignore the fact that he killed 8 people.
Of course not.
Totally agree.
Of course not.
Wait a second. Being an addict, if you guys know drug addicts, that leads them to make very, very bad decisions. Does it not? They steal from their family. They do all kinds of things. They'll sell their bodies.
They also kill themselves. They should have killed themselves.
They do, but they also can kill other people. So being an addict in general, you have to look at that. You have to look at that. Being a sex addict is no different. It's an addiction. It can drive people crazy. It can drive them to make stupid freaking decisions. Again, it's not a justification, but it's something that when it goes to court, they will take that into consideration as far as state of mind, whether or not he was actually being serviced there, how many times he frequented there. Like you guys can't, you know, disconnect from that and say that that has nothing to do with anything. It does. It doesn't justify killing people, obviously, but it doesn't mean that he was doing it out of being racist or hating Asian people. It doesn't. You guys cannot say that that's an absolute, because it's not. You're not in his head.
You don't know, right?
Right. So am I safe to say that we all kind of agree that we still need a lot more information to come out on this, but everyone obviously agrees that it's a horrific thing that happened?
100%.
I could
100%.
I could say I disagree with you and say I don't need extra information. This guy should get the chair.
So we should never give people their due day in court. We should make judgment by initial feelings.
For this guy,
For Christopher Harris, yes, he is judge and jury.
yes, I am.
On this
I am the
panel.
law.
No, but again, no one's justifying what he did, and you're right. If everything he did is true, I agree with you, Chris. I think he deserves the chair. Karen, what's your feeling on the statement that the sheriff made?
It's laughable. I think it's disgusting. I don't think that anyone is in the position of trying to be painting this, because if I were to agree with you that, yeah, okay, and I'm being hypocritical right now because I think it is partially racially motivated, his actions, and I think it is irrelevant if whether he was a sex addict or is a sex addict or whether he got service at those facilities or those spas. That's irrelevant. I still wouldn't go out and kill somebody. I'm a nicotine addict and a caffeine addict. But anyways, the going back to your question, I think it's making up excuses. He's supposed to be law enforcement. He's supposed to be on the side of the law, albeit the guy has not been found guilty yet, or they haven't found his motivation yet. He should not be out there on the podium making excuses for the guy. Oh, he had a bad day. Right.
He was humanizing him.
So question, Karen, do you think he did it out of malice or stupidity?
Probably
just your
both.
opinion. There's no way we'll obviously know, but just your opinion.
I'll answer it.
Probably both. Stupidity, being an idiot, being.
You know what I think? I think that cop saw something. I think the cop saw something in that young man. That's what I saw. He probably saw someone in himself. He's like, oh, look at this poor young.
Wow, Chris.
That's what I think. Well, okay, it's true, because let's also talk about the fact that last year on this police officer's Twitter, he had buy these shirts that said coronavirus made in China.
You ruined my point, dude. I was going there next.
Well, I'm sorry when I heard Sunsu goes, oh, Chris, well, okay.
I knew you were going to say that, Chris.
Because that's what I think. What, Mike?
I didn't know that. No.
Oh,
yeah.
Thank you for the only that I get surprised with that.
The officer you're talking about who made the statement?
Yes.
Yes.
The sheriff, what's his name? Captain Jay Baker.
And he wore a shirt that said.
It was on his Twitter feed. He had anti-Asian racial comments. Like Chris said, I think it was at least a year ago on his feed.
Listen, this country's super racist. Racism is embedded in this country. For anyone to think that racism is not here is wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong.
It's not that we don't have racism in this country. It just means that we cannot assume that everything is racially motivated.
Race. When a guy sees you, Sunsu, he's looking at your dark skin. Okay.
No, when you have road rage or you're going off on somebody, are you doing it because of the color of their skin? Or are you doing it because they're an a-hole?
I never in my life have road rage.
Ever. I do.
I don't.
Everyone does, Chris. Don't be lying on this show, okay?
I'm not lying. I don't have road rage.
That's a normal, natural response when you're on the road. I'm just kidding. No, but what my point is like we've been serviced by different, waitress, or customer service person who's been a total a-hole. I know that there's no one on this panel that hasn't experienced that. And if I were to say something to them, or if they're treating me a certain way, I'm not thinking, oh, they're being an a-hole because I'm brown. That's the last thing that I'm thinking. And for anyone to presume that is ridiculous. It's not about race all the time.
Mike, what's your feeling? Is it about race all the time or not?
No, it's not about race.
Okay. Karen?
I think it depends on the situation and what action is being taken against you. While I do agree, it's the same concept. Not everything needs to be politicized. Not everything is racist or is racism, but staying with the topic that we're talking about, whether if you're going to ask me, is it racially motivated? I'm going to say it's partially racially motivated.
Yes, I agree with you 100%.
Can I share something with you guys that just happened to me the other day? So I'm flying. I'm going to go ahead and name the airline because I couldn't stand them and I probably will never fly them again, but I flew American Airlines. Oh. And I haven't flown them in years. And so I sat in 23C on my first leg, went to Phoenix and then flew from there to Orange County. Second leg, I had to catch another flight. I recall selecting the same seat. So I sat in the same seat on the second flight. And as I'm sitting there, it was an exit seat. So extra leg room, perfect. The flight attendant, I noticed was looking at me a little weird. Just kind of like just those judgy eyes that a lot of us women can, notice, for whatever reason. And so she's kind of looking at me like that. And then she comes over to me. She goes, "Oh, is this your seat?" And I said, "Yeah." And I honestly thought that was my seat. I saw my ticket. I was kind of flustered because I had to get there really quick. I was running across the airport and I honestly thought that was my seat. Then no more than a couple minutes later, another flight attendant, both of them are white, comes up to me and she's looking at the, what is it called? The flight,
manifest.
The manifest. Yes. Thank you. And she's like, "Are you sure this is your seat? Because this is a premium seat. And I don't see you on here on the manifest." Okay. I said, "No, yeah, this is my seat." And I pulled out my boarding pass. It was on my phone. And lo and behold, no, it says 25C, not 23C. So I'm thinking, okay, my bad. Get up, move. I'm a little irked because I'm thinking, what's the problem with you allowing me to sit here anyways? The flight was not even half full, right? But then it was dawning on me. I'm like, this lady, this is a premium. What, you think I can't afford a premium seat? I obviously sat in a premium seat the first leg here. Like, what was the purpose of her telling me it was a premium seat? Why couldn't she just say, I don't think this is your seat. It doesn't show you here on the manifest as sitting here. So I could have very easily felt like, is she discriminating against me? Does she think because I'm freaking Mexican, I can't freaking afford a premium seat? Yep. But you know what? At the end of the day, I chose, because it's a choice, to just leave it alone. It did dawn on me. I thought maybe I'm going to go complain to customer service because, again, I don't take these things lightly. I don't like people judging me or assuming that I can't afford something, But, at the end of the day, I'm like, it's not worth the time and the effort. I'll leave it alone. Maybe she's having a bad day, whatever. But it was two white women that treated me that way. Now, again, I don't know if it was racially motivated. I don't know, but I'm not going to presume that either. It could be,
Yes.
what? I will tell you this. There are times that I feel that women look at me and they're kind of like, ugh, like whether she must think she's all whatever, or maybe I walk around a little too confident, or I don't know, or maybe I dress a certain way that they don't like. Like, they could be judging me off of that as well. It doesn't always have to be my race. But you know what I'm saying, though, you guys, there are other aspects as to why people judge us, and it's not always race. That's it.
Perfect.
It totally sounded racial for that airline thing, though. I agree. It totally sounded racial.
Oh my gosh, you're so
Chris,
judgy,
I think
man.
Chris is being very argumentative today on purpose, I think.
Mhm. Yes, he is.
I agree. I mean, we're getting close to the end. I guess I'd just like to ask you guys final feelings on the whole shooting itself. I mean, if you had to make a 1 or 2 line statement of what you felt about this whole incident, and knowing that, did you guys know that his family turned him in? They
Yeah,
saw
yeah, yeah.
pictures of him.
Yeah,
It was actually his parents turned him in.
decent people.
Yeah.
Wow.
So what's your overall feeling? And you can say whatever you want, for
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay. So here's the thing. At first, I got really upset at the police because that dude seemed, I mean, he was armed when they stopped him, and they seemed to, I mean, protesters died easier than this dude. So at first I was real mad. And then on the same day, there was a African-American male who killed a 7-year-old, who killed his baby's mama and her family members. And he was apprehended easily as well. And he's still alive. So, I mean, that does happen. Sometimes the worst monsters get taken alive. And I mean, that dude deserves to die too. He killed a 7-year-old kid. He deserves to die. I think it's hard being a police officer, but I think police officers, when they make statements like that, have to think and then not have stupid things on their Twitter. Because yeah, I'm gonna think you're a racist right away. I think racism's real, and I feel for for the Asian community, the Asian American community who have to deal with racism. Being of 2 races myself, and when I was younger, I dated Asians for like over 10 years, and it's hard. It's hard to be a minority, and the police officer should have been smarter. That's it. The sheriff, is it his fault? He just should have been smarter.
Sun Tzu?
My final thoughts are, I feel saddened by the fact that these types of events still continue to happen. I feel that racism will always continue in our country, and I think that we just need to learn how to better deal with it rather than causing more of a divide. We need to learn how to bring people together. And I think that anyone who commits a crime deserves due process. They deserve to have the facts come out and then be judged accordingly to that. And I think that they deserve whatever maximum sentence is deserved for whatever crimes that they, especially when they're killing people and anyone who commits a crime towards a child. So that's my final thought.
Mike?
Well, we're definitely experiencing a rise in Asian hate crimes. That's becoming very well known. And to me, it boggles my mind. It really does. But because of my impressions of Asians, I can't think of too many negative things that I'd want to say. But I don't know. I guess you don't need much, do you? As long as they look different from you or act different from you, and you step on them, it somehow makes you taller. And that's sad. But as far as this particular incident, I think this guy's mentally ill. There's no excuse. Sex addiction, even if it pans out, is not an excuse. It's not it's nothing. It's just, it's a mental, this guy, I hope it doesn't come down to, I wanted my, what is it? 60 seconds of glory or whatever the heck it is.
Minutes of fame.
Yeah. I hope it doesn't come down to something as sick as that. Anyway, sad, very sad, and very sad for the families as they were affected.
Karen?
I think I've said everything I wanted to say. A little too passionately at some point, but I just want to thank you guys for having me on again, inviting me to your show, and letting me have a platform and having me have my little moment of what do you call it? Soapbox? Is that what you call it? What you refer to?
We're not on a soapbox at all.
But I am waiting for the progression of this investigation. I want them to highlight each and every violent acts taken against Asians, though, from here on out, because for a while there, it was not being covered by the news. Nobody was talking about it. Everyone, as usual, have ignored, the model minority community, even scoffed at, Asians claiming of the mistreatment that they're getting. So I am a proud Asian Filipino. I'm Filipino, if you didn't know already. I stand with my fellow Blacks, my fellow Asians, whoever is being mistreated. I'm there for them. And my only hope and prayer, I know it's getting kind of long here, but I do tend to talk a lot, especially if I'm passionate about something. I do, like Sun Tzu, I do want us to start working towards unity. My hope really, because my kids are biracial, 3 of my 4 kids are biracial, my stepchildren are biracial. I want to leave them in a world where they're accepted, where not because of the shade of their skin, but for who they are as humans and what they're contributing. And this always makes me emotional because I wasn't born here. And when President Trump was elected, my children asked me if I would get deported because of his comments. And they watched the news with me. They watched it at school too. And to hear my children, I mean, they know that mommy is naturalized. I'm a citizen. America, I claim America as my country, my home, right? I've been here for many, many years, ever since I was little. And for them to ask me, am I going to get deported? That just shows you what they've been, their perception of how, minorities are treated or whatever. But anyways, in conclusion, I'm honored to be on your show again, and thank you for highlighting the Asian attacks and what happened in Atlanta.
You heard in podcasts in iTunes, as well as Apple Podcasts, as well as Spotify. Not your typical Karen.
So the one thing I would like to say on this subject, even as the moderator, I feel bad for the guy's parents. I feel grateful that they stood up and did the right thing and identified him. Because if you guys don't know, he was on his way to Florida to shoot up more places. His parents stopped more crime. So I think, it's got to be hard for them, but I applaud them for doing the right thing and turning their son in. And it's got to be hard on them. And it's got to be a big disappointment to them. And a lot of people don't think about that. And I feel bad for them too, because they're suffering just as much, I bet, as a lot of other people are.
Amen, Sean.
I want to call this. Oh, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, next week is our season finale. Next week is our season finale. It's a half show with a highlight of our whole year. Next week marks a whole year of shows. It's going to be awesome.
Do we get to see Anderson and Mike in real life for this finale finally? Because those two have been hiding behind their little
Mike,
screen.
can you please put on clothes for next week's show?
And Anderson,
you see my picture, right? Don't you see?
At least put on pants, Mike.
Anderson, you can
Come on,
just
Silver Fox.
half clothed, okay? We're good with that.
Okay.
Can't see my
Also, guys, live on air, I want to extend a invitation to Karen. Karen, there is a woman show about to start with Sun Tzu and another host, and it's just about them teaching men about women. That the show is based on teaching men about women. Karen, I appreciate your openness and your willingness to talk, and I want to sort of see if you would do a test run with the other two hosts. It's all women for women. No, all women for men to learn about women. Yeah.
Is that why you invited me to tonight's show?
No, I invited you on tonight's show for the topic.
Sun Tzu's going to have many episodes to teach us about women, dude.
Oh, Sun Tzu's king, queen. Sun Tzu's queen. See, I need to learn how I make everything masculine. Sun Tzu's king. No,
it's going to be a long running show for us to learn.
It's not that hard, Sean. Don't worry.
It is for men.
But
You
it's
should know
really
that.
fun. Men of the audience, you could anonymously
Anonymously.
email us the questions you always wanted to ask. I don't care how stupid it is. I don't care how sexist it is. I don't care how disgusting it is. Ask questions to women about women. This is your chance to not be judged or thought of as stupid. They will answer on them and they will bring up amazing topics. This is not The View. This is not The Talk. This is real shit, that women are going to talk about. Why a majority of beautiful women seem so stupid. They will talk about that. Why a majority of beautiful women seem very insecure. They will talk about that. They will talk about a lot of stuff. And again, it's women teaching men.
If I send you a question, Chris, and you say this is from Sean, I'm going to be pissed.
I promise you it is anonymous. I swear.
Okay.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Sun Tzu, call us out. Guys, don't forget, next week is our season finale, half show, but it's full of highlights. Sun Tzu, your call.
All right. Thank you again. All of our We Could Be Wrong, but Who Care listeners. Thanks for listening in. Next week is our finale. Stay tuned. We love you all. Thank you for your loyalty and your